Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to another amazing, incredible episode of Happiness from Within, where our goal here is to touch people's hearts and souls at a very deep level and to help you come out of the darkness and into the light. Today, I have a really incredible guest. Shout out to David Meltzer's podcasting agency. Thank you so much for this amazing connection. So this amazing young man, his name is Travis Huff. He is the founder and CEO of Real-time Outsource.com. His objective is to share the wealth of social media marketing using the horizontal business model of strategic white label partnership. Real-time's outsource motto is simple. Your success is our success. Travis and his team work around the clock to prove to you what a powerful impact social media marketing and optimization can have on your business. And he also has a really amazing podcast that I'm going to let him talk about. So I actually have him here on the line. Hi, Travis.
What's good, Janet? How you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing fabulous. Had a great day. Interviewed one of my heroes today. Also got a chance to spend a lot of quality time with my daughter today because I'm a pop entrepreneur. On Wednesdays, I get to spend all day with my daughter. So it's really cool. We went to Costco. We did everything today. It was awesome.
That's awesome. If you don't mind sharing, how old is your daughter?
My daughter is 1. She just turned 1.
Wow. Congratulations to you and your
you.
significant other. That's amazing.
It is. It really is. It's the biggest blessing on earth to be a parent. And being a pop entrepreneur has a whole nother level of challenges. In my life, I've gone through many challenges. It happens sequentially at different ages, but now being last year 37 years old, having a child, and then also running a business, and also letting my wife, who is a powerful woman, go and hustle as a psychologist and make her money and do what she loves. And so, and I realized because being a business owner, you could sacrifice your time for your children, but I had that happen to me with my dad, and that he was building his business in a different time, and you can't fault people for certain things because we live now and we're doing things over the internet right now. We're doing a conversation over the internet, and my whole show has been created because of the internet. My business has been created because of the internet. And so you can't fault people because they didn't have the internet, so it was a different time. People build their businesses differently, but my dad made a major sacrifice for on his family because of his time, and so you only have so much time in the day. And bottom line is I'm trying to spend every second that I have with my daughter because I know these moments are fleeting, and although it might be a sacrifice on something else I can do in my life, business, etc., it's worth it every second.
Wow, that's really beautiful what you said. I love that. So tell us, let's take us back. Where are you from, Travis?
Absolutely, Fresno, California, born and raised, never left. Gone a lot of places, been a lot of places along the way, but Fresno is home for us. Me and my wife both have our family here, and you don't know how long your family's going to be here, so we really soak that in, embrace that, spend a lot of quality time as much as possible with family. A lot of my family has moved out of Fresno. My brother's in Boston as a pilot. My sister's up in the Bay Area, and my dad is the only one here. My mom's in Phoenix, so it's still home for me because I still have all my intermediate family here, as well as obviously, my wife's family, and it's a great place to raise a family. Bottom line, it's a great place to live because of the cost efficiencies. You can have a very nice house for under $300,000-$400,000, brand new.
Wow.
A lot less traffic. We do have traffic, but it's a lot less. And then we also have all the restaurants and amenities that any other place really has. Now, it's not LA, it's not the Bay Area, but there's a lot of other benefits. I mean, we have all the restaurants and all the brand names you can imagine that these other cities have, and so, and I've seen it evolve since I, grew up and seen it go from a kind of a podunk town, and now, everything's filled in. I mean, it's basically a thriving community of about 1.8 to 2 million people in the 6 counties that represent our DMA in advertising. That's what you'd say. It's the DMA. It's the whole area, the region, and but it's continually growing, and so my story is I've always been an entrepreneur, Janet. I've always thought of different businesses that had lemonade stands, sold things out of my garage to the neighborhood. Me and my brother one time had a tree fall down on our house on the side of the house, and we cut it up and we put Super Bowl stuff on it and we sold it to the neighbors. I mean, we were always just finding new ways to make a little money. Paperboy, worked at a car wash. Then as I got older, I started doing stuff with sales, and I eventually got a chance to work for the Morgan Stanley company and understood about investments and stocks and stuff, and also worked with my father as an accountant. So really understood accounting. And then at some point within my senior years of marketing of college, I decided, Pops, I want to do marketing. I want to do advertising. I don't want to be an accountant. And so I had to make that pivot once you have to decide your major. And it was a little bit tough on him because he obviously wanted me to run his business. Maybe in hindsight, is a good business to run, to be honest with you. But transparently, it wasn't what I wanted to do passionately, folks. And as you know, that's very important in your life. And so from there, I got a chance to work right out of college, at a great company called the Walt Disney Company. And it gave me it gave me the understanding of what the advertising world was going to be in the heydays of 2005 to 2009, which was a great time for the industry. This was before, on-demand digital, all this stuff came along, and it was going to disrupt it, as well as social and digital marketing, et cetera. But yeah, I've always, like I said, always been an entrepreneur. But then 4 years into working at Disney, had a great run. I was just like loving life. But then I was sitting down with a coffee with a buddy, and we're catching up after 4 years at college. And he says, hey, you know what? People are going to need their Facebook pages managed. And so that was the run. That was the running ticket, Jen. I just took that ticket and ran. And yeah, we haven't stopped now, coming up almost on 11 years.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
Can you talk about the routine you built your business on?
Well, yes. So there's a lot of routines I've created in my life. I've had 3 major challenges in my life, and we can kind of get into those, which go into my routines. The first was my body. When I was a teenager, 15 to 17 years old, I was close to 300 pounds. I played baseball, so you can kind of still be overweight and play baseball, but I was just not putting in the physical activity and putting way too many calories in my body, and that were not good calories. So around 17 or so, when I graduated high school, because I graduated young, I decided, hey, I'm going to make a change. I had a really good, impactful friend, and he's like, dude, he was into the gym. And so he started taking me into the gym, learning little things here and there. And folks, for basically the last 20 some plus years, I've been working at the gym, not every day. I'm not a complete gym rat, but the body was my very first challenge. And that's one of my very first routines, is something that I need to do almost every day in some format, and so I love, try to get to the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning now that I'm a dad. That's basically the only time I can do it. So I try to get there. It doesn't happen every day, but 3 or 4 days a week, I at least get it at that time. And then also sometimes on the weekends, we'll work in some workouts. So the routine for me is always, if I get my body working, that's always the best, if possible. Now, to be transparent with you, I sometimes can't get to the gym. It's just not going to work out in the schedule that day. And so what I'll even do, after we're going to record here, is my wife's actually had her personal training class right now. So I'm going to go after this and then do a little 5-minute burst workout, as well as maybe just some other kind of core stuff or whatever, and just work out, So the body's number one. Second, folks, was my when I was 27, I started my business in a recession in 2009 based on an opportunity, and I ran with it. I was also going through it. I got married way too young. I got married in my young 20s, and it was one of those things where the parents were, my wife's ex-wife's parents were gonna plan all this stuff, and they were gonna do everything. I felt like I was on the damn Bachelor, and I should have just gone with my heart and gut and said, hey, you know what? I'm not ready for this. This is just not the time for me. And bottom line is, we make mistakes, and so me and my ex-wife went through an amicable divorce. But also along with that white picket fence, folks, is I bought a house it closed on January of 2009. And so at the worst possible time, it basically closed when the market started going down, the complete, recession, if you want to call it. And so a house that was worth, Janet, about 300 and something thousand was now worth about 170,000. And I was starting my business at the wrong time, and now I'm single, and so I'm spending more time at the clubs and having fun, because I'm also a musician and I'm doing fun events and gigs, and I was spreading myself way too thin, folks. So at 27, I went through a financial depression, if you want to call that. I went through a tough time where I could not hardly even see my way through it. And there were some low points in those years, man. From 27 to 29, I would say I went through some tough times, just getting things back together, putting my life back together emotionally, where am I spending my time? Because folks, we all have the same amount of time in the day, and where you spend your time is a critical factor, and also where you spend your money. Because if you spend your money too many places, you won't have enough, if you need something. And so the big things for me, Janet, was I was spending too much time on my music and it wasn't really paying off. And I was also spending too much money going out to the clubs, promoting the music, all that kind of stuff, as well as secondarily, just eating. Even though I was still healthy at that point. I was getting, my body was in shape after 10 years of working out, but I was still eating out, maybe at Chipotle or just convenience, and so the things like that. And those things were killing me. And I didn't really realize it until I kind of looked at it and it was real with myself. And so truthfully, that was my second routine, is meal prepping, cooking for myself, making sure that I'm always have food on hand. We just went to Costco today at a good price for the food. You can get eggs at a great price. And you know what I mean? There's things you need at such great prices at Costco when you really do it right. You know what I mean? I mean, it's hard not to avoid the muffins. Let's just be real. But you know what I mean? We avoid those because those are my cheat days back when I was a kid. I would just be hammering those things. But the point is that, being efficient with your time, and that goes into your food, in that if you prep it out, if you have salads ready for yourself, if you have meals at night possibly ready, and you don't have to do it every night, but if you have the majority of them ready, it's going to skip you from going to Subway, Jack in the Box, Taco Bell, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? And spending that cash that you really are not getting the greatest food, as well as also it's expensive. It's really expensive for what you get. So absolutely, that was my biggest second routine. My first, my body, and the second has been my money. And that's changed my whole game. When I looked at myself in the mirror, Janet, and said, this is on you, it changed everything.
Wow.
Yeah. She's like, wow. Yeah, I mean, that's the truth. It's like, it literally changed everything. When I got my body in control, I would be a different person at 37 or 38 than you would ever even know at 20 when I was 17. Right. And so I got my body. That changed my life because I started becoming more personal. I started becoming more outgoing. And at 27, I got hit over the head with a divorce, a bad financial decision where I put a bunch of money into this property and lost it all, and just a shit ton of shit show. And then to be able to climb your way out of that to where I'm now 10 years later, and where I'm in a whole different place where I really truly have financial freedom in my life. I can be in control of my time. I love spending the most amount of time with my little daughter. And I try to be the best father to her, but also the best husband I can possibly be. And that's hard to do always, every day.
I can imagine. Being a parent, they say, is one of the hardest jobs in the world. So
Right.
Wow. Well,
It is.
I really want to thank you for sharing that. So I'd like to move back a little bit, going back to your experience as a teenager when you were overweight. I can definitely relate to you. I used to weigh like 250 pounds, so I went through a lot of the same challenges that you have.
Wow, yes.
I'd like to dive a little bit deep, if you don't mind sharing, because usually, I mean, it can stem from different things. It can be many different things, but where do you think the weight gain came from? Like, was there something of anger that you were holding on to? Was it emotional eating? Because it's stemmed down very deep emotions. But if you don't mind opening up, where do you think it came? It was probably came from. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Just because somebody that might be listening right now, maybe they're going through that right now. And what is something, anything you'd like to share of where you think it came from, but somebody that's listening to this of one step that they can take, because you're such a great example of, you were talking about changing your body, and then how that changed other aspects of your life. So let's just, if we can, I would love to just focus on this one thing, or just anything you'd like to share with those questions that I just asked.
Absolutely. So folks, literally, like, first it's just, you have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, like, what are you doing? But that's even hindsight, because that's even like further down the road after you've gained the weight, because that's the truth, is how you get out of that hole is you have to tell yourself, okay, you know how I got in this hole. Now I know how I'm going to have to try to get out of this hole. But going back to it, it was definitely emotional eating. My parents got divorced when I was in 5th grade.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So my weight gain probably started in that time. Also, my brother went through a nephrotic syndrome, which is a crazy kidney disease, when he was in 2nd grade. And so I would have been probably like in 7th grade. And I was just hitting my middle school years. I was a paper boy, and also my brother was having to go to Stanford every other day. So shout out to my mom. She was a soldier. She'd hit the road, spend 3 hours going there, 3 hours home every other day. And so she, who is a baker, who loves to cook and loves to provide for the house, started going to fast food more for us kids at that time, only because it was convenient and she was trying to save my brother's life. You know what I mean? Like, and half the time me and my sister would go with them because like my mom would just be down with it. She's like, hey, if you want to come with your brother, and I felt like it was maybe moral help for him, to kind of go through what he was going through. And so, he was going through crazy steroids. He had to take a bunch of stuff, prednisone, and he's only, real young. And so going through all that, I think, is emotional eating for sure. And then at some point, I think it just snowballs, and that's your appetite. That's kind of like what you kind of order when you go to the fast food places is a Big Mac meal, or you know what I mean? It just becomes part of your normal routine. It's not, you're used to that level of salt and sugars and you're just, your body's used to it. Just like any substance, right? Just like, alcohol, anything you do is you're going to get used to it. You're going to build tolerance to it. And so, my tolerance, folks, I could eat 3 Costco muffins back to back. I was telling my wife some stories and, I was like, holy shit, man. Like I would be eating some food, and just mindlessly eating. Because I think it's part of it just becomes just a routine. And then you're just like, you get bigger and you're just like, okay, well, maybe I'm a good looking fat guy, and then, and you kind of feel like there's no way out. To be straight up transparent with you guys on this show, and I don't tell this to a lot of people, but when I was 16 years old, I went through like checking out my endocrine system, and my mom just wanted to make sure everything's all right with me. I'm gaining all this weight and this and that. I'm going through, and I put me on some sort of fin type of shit. I don't know exactly what it was, but it was something that was probably illegal. I don't know now, but that did help me start losing some weight. And then the problem was as a guy, I kind of had breasts. And so my mom, shout out to her, man, even though she didn't have a lot of money, she got me an opportunity to have a breast reduction, if you want to call it, for men.
Wow.
Because that was crazy for me. I mean, I was 16 years old, and folks, I used to have to tape down my chest because guys would bully me, and I didn't have the confidence because I'm having to have to tape down my breasts, on my chest, and so people never even knew what was really there because I was taping her down, and so thank God she helped me get that, because that did change my trajectory in life. And I always told myself I'm never going back here again. And from there forward, it really just gave me that rocket fuel. And there's been years across the journey here that I've taken a little slower path and have been at a little heavier weights than I wanted to be, if you look back at the pictures and stuff, but I always still kind of stayed keeping eating healthy. You know what I mean? Like I always kept back to that routine, even though some of the things a few years there, I probably was emotionally eating from, those years we talked about, 27 to 29. I was maybe eating emotionally because I was also freaking going through hell. And all levels, and so I think it's something that's natural, folks. If you're listening, it's normal. It's normal shit. I'd love to eat a pizza right now, but just know that pizza is going to be hella hard to eat to get off. In fact, folks, I actually ate a Popeye's chicken sandwich today because one of my buddies keeps telling me about this damn thing. And I'm like, okay, we went to Costco and then we went to Popeye's right after that. And I just picked up a couple. I actually ended up buying a few extra for some homeless kids that were out there, and I shared it with them. I said, hey, man, this is supposedly the best thing on earth, man. Check it out. But the point is that my wife got to enjoy it after her work because I got her one. The point is that at the end of the day, you can't do that every day. So if you do that every day, then there might be just a way to make some small changes in your life. And that is just cutting out the sides. Whenever you go somewhere, cut out the sides, the fries, the chips, the sodas, cut that shit out. You don't need it. Cut it out. It sounds good to all of us. But just cut it out. Cut out the candy bars, the bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, if possible, cut it out. And then just eat the main stuff. Like, eat the burger, eat the chicken sandwich, or whatever you eat, the main entree, eat that only at the restaurant. You know what I mean? Skip the appetizers and skip the desserts. You know what I mean? Because if you look at the calories, it's like, dude, you're not coming out of this thing. You're going to create what's called a calorie. Like, how to lose weight is you have to have a deficiency. So when you eat more than you burned that day, you're going to have an overload. And the more days you do that is how you get heavy, is how you get fat, is how you gain weight. Like, bottom line, it's like, How many calories did you burn today? Your body's saying, and then it says, well, holy shit, you put in 5,000 calories today, and you didn't work out like an NFL star all day. Well, you're gonna gain a pound, and that's just how it works. There's no hidden secret.
Exactly. Wow.
It sucks, but it's true. Like, we all want to eat the bomb shit, like, all the time. Trust me, I walk by still today after making 22 years of changes where I don't buy candy bars. But when I go by and see candy bars, I'm like, damn, I want to buy them. I fucking tell myself half the time, I'm going to buy these. But I don't. I get the protein bar. They taste kind of like the candy bar these days. They're getting better. So, you have to just make those changes to get success. Now, folks, I still have stretch marks on my body. I will never be able to have six-pack abs like the dude that's never been fat. And so that's okay though, because I look freaking bomb. I feel like I look great. Shit, my wife thinks I look good. All my friends are like, damn, you look amazing. And if you took a picture of me now and screenshotted it and showed the weight gain, I would be 400 or 500 pounds. So I look great. And that's what everyone should tell themselves. Don't ever forget this, folks. When you see someone that looks more ripped than you, better looking, whatever you think, tell yourself this: hey, they look good, and so do I.
Wow, I love that. That's amazing. Thank you for that. My next question for you is, so I want to talk about the breakthrough that you had financially when you were talking about when you looked at yourself in the mirror.
Heck yeah.
Because you were going through some extreme challenges, paying for the house and all these other things. So how did you go from being what sounds like completely broke to now being a multi-millionaire?
Well, let's just put it this way. You get tapped out in many ways. And what ends up happening, bottom line is, you have to look at yourself in the mirror, see where you're spending time. I told you guys first where I was spending the most time. I was spending not enough time on my business and more time on music, and it wasn't paying the bills. If that's happening, you got to switch and say, I can still make music, but not as much. I need to only do it 1 hour a week. Limit yourself to a hobby. A hobby should only be done like 1 hour a week. If you want to play the guitar 1 hour a week. If it's not paying you, don't play the guitar. If it brings you happiness, I shouldn't say that. If it brings you happiness, no worries. But when in the situation where I was at, it was, hey, I got to figure out where I'm spending my time, because it's the most critical factor in your life. Like one of my guys, Sam, would say, hey, do you roll down the windows and open up your windows and throw out your money out the window? Well, that's what you do when you freaking waste time. And so that was the first one, is what the time. Second was the food, the extra income that I had. Where was it going? So I had to start learning to grocery shop, meal prep, things like that. Started slowly saving the money. Okay, so Janet, then when I had more time focused on my business, what do you think happened, folks? I got more clients. I was able to, build more customers. Then I started figuring out, okay, I got to get a team. I got to get people that will work with me, that will work for me, so that I can basically talk to more customers, so I can be in front of more people, so I can be at the top level. And so I started finding team members. One was my sister, and she still works with us. And then, we started kind of figuring out, okay, they can help manage campaigns for us. So it was more than just me. And that was huge, because then it started taking off a little more, then I could focus on bigger problems. I could think of bigger things in the business. But transparently, when it came down to my finances, what I had to do, folks, was this. I had to look myself in the mirror after a few years of holding this asset, this house that was not worth what it was. And I had to short sell it. I had to take the lump and lose my $48,000 or so that I put down on the property. Plus, I put money into the property as far as renovations. I lost all that, but I also didn't lose. The benefit of a short sale is you whatever you owe, like the big difference that you owe, goes away. And so the bank's happy with the fact that you got the property sold, and they didn't have to do that. And so then they washed that difference. And it was it was a big difference. It was more than I had put in. It was like $98,000 or so dollars that they washed away, from my credit. But obviously the credit gets hit for about 3 years, folks. So that it was hard. It was a hard decision, but it was definitely the best decision I ever made, was to walk away, say, I got a seller, sold the house, short sell is what it's called, walk away from the debt, my credit was going to be affected. So I knew I'd have to be a renter for a while, right? So I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to be a renter. But my other next big problem was this. I was using my damn credit cards too much. And at that time, if you guys remember, the credit card companies started taking your credit card from 9 to 11 to 15 to 20 something % on a credit card.
Yeah.
Dude, it was in your policy. It started happening to everybody. It was happening to everybody. If you look back, there's people that were using their credit card that got killed because they went from low interest rates to high interest rates overnight. And so I started working with my dad, who's an accountant. I started figuring out how to basically pay as many damn payments as I could. And I also used every Christmas gift I ever got in about 3 or 4 years, every birthday gift I ever got that was cash or anything. And I started just putting all on my credit cards, like any blessing that I got from a family member for a gift or, a Christmas gift or anything. I would just throw that shit on the credit card. And before you know it, folks, I had 2 cards, Citi and Chase, and I got them all paid off. And then I said, I'm not using my credit card, right? Now I do use my credit card, and we can talk about that. But I said, I'm not using my credit card. The only time I'm ever using this card is in emergencies, ever again. Unless I can have, I didn't even know at that time that where it would be now. But the point is, I said, okay, that's very important. I'm only going to live off my cash. And this is true. And my wife has started doing this, and I've heard about other people doing this. The second, folks, you want to buy something impulsively, think about it for 24 hours. If you don't feel that same way in 24 hours, don't buy it. Don't buy shit impulsively. And if you are going to buy something impulsively, make sure that it's cash out of your hand, not on your credit card. Please, folks. Please, please, please. Wow. Use the cash you have. Why would you want to buy some shit that you can't even actually use? If you can't buy it with your cash, you're going to go into debt, and you're going to finance this thing with your minimum payments. You'll never pay the thing off. You're just paying the interest. The balance is never going away because you're never paying any extra payment. So the point is, please, folks, try not to, as much as possible, use your credit card unless you can pay payments daily or weekly or monthly and pay the whole balance off at the end of the month. Then use a credit card. If you don't have that discipline, don't use a credit card. Keep it in the back pocket. I had it in one of my on my nightstand, and I just would keep that shit in there, and I would not have it on me. Ever for those years, because I didn't have the discipline at that point. I was like, these things are paid off. I'm cool. Like, I'm not going to put anything on this, So the first thing, folks, and I have actually a game plan, is to pay your credit cards off. The second was create an emergency fund. Folks, if you do not have $400 to $500 to $1,000 to $10,000, depending on your lifestyle and bills, in a separate account from your checking, from your other stuff, in a savings account, somewhere where if shit hit the fan, you could pull out a little money and pay for a bill, because they said the average person doesn't have more than $400 to $1,000 if that popped up on them as an extra bill, meaning outside of rent, if all of a sudden your carburetor breaks down or some shit goes awry. So the second thing I had to do was create that emergency fund before I started doing anything else, was making sure that if shit went awry in my business, I could still float the boat for a few months so I could get another job, right? Like, that's the theory. It's like, you want to at least have a little money to float the boat so that you might, find another job, which, it's possible. If you're like, for me, it would be probably possible to do that, So that was a second. And then the next things, folks, is how really changed my whole life. And that is investing. Learning that about investing, I've known that my whole life, but actually taking even more involvement into it. You can do things for your retirement, folks. That's through like a Roth IRA, or you've heard of 401k matching. But Roth IRA is how I went, because it's basically the money you put in over time as it grows. And then at 65 or so, when you're retiring, and you can start pulling that money out, or 62, I think it is. The point is that the money that has grown in that account, folks, is tax free at that point. And so you're not going to pay taxes if it's $5 million, $1 million, $500,000. That's your money now. It's not tax. There's no tax involved on that account, based on the type of account. But the second account that is what really changed my life, Janet. That's a taxable account. That's like Robinhood.com or the app that everyone's probably heard about nowadays, or E-Trade, or et cetera. And that's where you can invest in a company, Janet, and then if it grows in a year or 2 or 3, you could sell it. You could sell some of it, and actually take off the profit and put it right into your bank, and then that's cash flow, if you want to call it. That's a way for me to get into other businesses without actually getting into those businesses, And so that was the next one that really took off, folks. Then I had a few other really more lucky alignments. In 2015, I bought into crypto, which was a great time to buy because the Bitcoin was like $200. And so it had a ride up to 20,000 and now it's still back at 10,000. But the point is, if you do the math on that, there's a lot of return there. Also had started into investing into startups and haven't done crazy well with that, folks, but I do own a few companies that they haven't exited yet or they haven't got purchased, but they're really, they're way further than when we started. So the whole thing about the startups, as you probably know, is that, you're basically all of them are going to fail. And then there's going to be a few left over after 7 or 10 years that are like still fighting, and then they pay back everything. And so that's really the last thing that has taken it to the whole nother level. I do other types of investing like peer-to-peer loans. Anyone could do that like on Prosper or Lending Club. You could also do the same thing in real estate on Roofstock or Fundrise. But the point is, it starts from the beginning. I've given you guys a lot, but the beginning is where are you spending your time? Where are you spending your money? Getting out of credit card debt, and then having some sort of emergency fund, whether that's 500, 1,000, 10,000, based on your life, based on your, how much bills you have, really, so that at least you can survive for 2 months, a month. It's very, very important because honestly, this is what happens. The stress of making the next dollar goes away. And so then you start to think about the bigger pictures in your business, the bigger pictures in your life. The stress of the daily dollar goes away as you continue to build that model we just talked about right there, and you keep putting money into investments. They keep growing. They pay off over time. You put that back in your bank. Then all of a sudden you got more money in your bank. Oh shit, I can go on a trip somewhere, or I could buy another investment, and so it just continues to grow like a snowball. Like they talk about, like Warren Buffett's book is Snowball. And that's how it happens. But you can't do it if you're constantly having to pay, you're buying shit up front on a credit card you can't really afford. And then when shit hits the fan, you don't have your credit card because that's maxed out and you don't have any cash. Like, you're going to be stressed. You're going to be like, it's not going to be fun.
Yeah. Wow. You've provided so much value. That's amazing.
Yes, I'm very passionate about this topic, actually, because entrepreneurs, anyone out there, we can all get ourselves out of there. You can all get yourself out of there. It's just a matter of, you're going to have to make cuts somewhere if you're not where you want to be. Yeah. You have to. It's just, I still today do, Janet. Yeah. I eat $2-3 meal preps today, and I could probably afford Ruth's Chris every damn night. You know what I mean? A $200 meal every night. If I really wanted to, I probably could afford that. You know what I mean? Like, in my life. I mean, I probably would be the dumbest thing I ever did. But if I really freaking wanted to, I probably could eat that every single day. But the point is, I'm not going to. That's retarded. Yeah. Like, once in a week, once a year. Oh, sure. Enjoy a nicest meal of the week, and splurge yourself once a week with something special instead of just eating kind of like Subway all week. You know what I mean? Like, go spend $100 on one day that week. That's more like, because it's a better meal. It's like more memorable. You're going to remember it. It was a great meal. So I never say don't, treat yourself, but without getting out of credit card debt and without having some sort of emergency fund, it's going to be hard to treat yourself. You're not going to have that, the cash.
Absolutely. Wow.
And it's tough. Like I said, for anyone. I mean, shit. I mean, I still work at it every single day. I mean, you would be shocked.
I appreciate you. Thank you for being so open and vulnerable. I have an interesting question for you, because I have entrepreneurs, different people at different levels of life, that listen to my podcast. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to ask you a particular question for this person that might be listening in this audience. So I think you would be one of the perfect people to ask. So for somebody that wants to build a business, okay, they're working in corporate America, okay, and they want to make that mindset transition. And I think you've already given some really good advice as far as like, who are you hanging out with, saving, where are you spending your money? But what would you say to that person? Because it's it really is a mindset, and then obviously action. Action the most. But what would you say to that person? Because we think, oh, it's like this big magic formula. But what would you say to that person that is working full time? They are building a business and they want to obviously be a full time entrepreneur. What advice would you give to that person?
I would say make sure that the other business that you have is at least paying all the same bills that you could pay with your regular job. Mm-hmm. In the meantime, try to do both. We all have a lot of time in the day. You know what I mean? You can do both. I work into the late hours sometimes because I'm a dad. I'm taking care of my daughter and I'm not getting paid by anybody. God's paying me. The universe is paying me. My daughter's paying me with her love. But I ain't getting paid. For today, we spent at least 6 or 7 hours together today. I'm not getting paid. I'm having to work at different pockets in the windows. I work in different pockets. I don't get to work just straight through because I'm waking up. My daughter goes to sleep and I get to work. And then she wakes up and we're doing stuff for the family and we're doing stuff for life. And then she goes back to sleep. I'm working again. My wife comes home. I'm working again. Right now I'm working again. I'm going to be working again in a few hours. So the point is, that it's not easy being an entrepreneur. So don't think you're going to work less. Please, God, please don't think you're going to work less. But that doesn't mean that it's not fun. It's enjoyable. You're in control of your time. I just told you about the blessings that I have in my day to get to be able to go back and forth from this and that from being a dad to being in work to be, you know what I mean? And so for me, it's a blessing. And so you have to tell yourself that too. And so when you get into the grind, when you're going through the tough times, I think it's so important. This came across my path is just telling yourself, I love my life. I love where I'm at. I want to keep asking for more. I hope the Lord and the universe keep blessing me with all the blessings that are about. The world's full of so much abundance. And so everybody can win and everybody's winning. And so, but the point is, it's going to be work. That's the bottom line. Know that. It ain't going to be easy. It's not perfect every day. There's going to be things where your team messes up, you make a mistake, you're sick, etc. And so owning a business is not for everybody. Yeah. But honestly, the cool thing too, Janet, is that, hey, you can still work a main full job and have a side gig. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? Like, and have 2 incomes coming in, like, no worries. If that's your main gig and you really, unless you start to hate the job and then the other job becomes better, you know, that's kind of where I was at. And also it was like the timing of everything. And now transparently, my business is it's side supplement to all the investment stuff, you know? And so that's like almost like, as long as things keep going well with there and I keep doing the things right, obviously we've had a good run with the stock market and with crypto and all these different things we kind of talked about, but it could always pull back. But I also have some cash just in case that happens, you know? And so it's just a matter of now that is really what I primarily focus on throughout my weeks and days. It's not my full-time gig, but if those things can continue to go right, that's going to propel my business, you know? And so where I don't need necessarily to worry about, oh shit, we lost this customer, or oh cool, we got this new customer. The business kind of just keeps going. And so that's the biggest, such a blessing. I tell everyone, when you have your personal finances right, your business will thrive. When your personal finances are out of whack, it's gonna affect your business. Yeah. Because you're gonna need the cash. You'd rather you not take a check and pay your team members in that situation. Maybe you have some people owe you money and they haven't got it to you or whatever, and your business is running thin. And if you're the owner and you can you're in a financial good place and you have some money saved up, and hey, you don't have to take a check. You can let it all slide, make sure everything else gets paid. But you see this all the time where people just can't pay their employees, can't pay payroll. There's all sorts of even big public companies that have issues with this. So it doesn't get any easier when you build your company. As you get bigger, there's more problems. So I think the biggest thing, Jenna, is to always never think that the grass is always greener. But if there's a great opportunity, if there's a great point in time where you feel like this is just outweighing the revenue, the opportunity is just outweighing where I'm at today, take the dive. If you can, save up a little bit of money so that you have an emergency fund, so you can pay some bills and things like that. And then if it doesn't work out, you can always get another job. I mean, that's the bottom line, is if something doesn't work out, you can always get another job.
Wow, that's amazing.
There's millions of companies hiring right now. It's like you can always go to another company. Shit, I know guys all the time that go every 6 months they're at a different damn company. hey, for whatever reason they want to keep doing this, no worries. But the point is, there's a plethora of jobs. It's not a matter of that. It's a matter of you're going to have to go get that job. The job is not going to come find you. There's people that want that job too. So then that's a whole nother problem, is that people just putting themselves out there and getting themselves out there, and knowing that that's the reality, whether you own a business or you work for a company. So a lot of times, like I tell my wife, be grateful. Shit, you got a great job, man. It pays you 6 figures. You show up 4 days a week. You leave the work at the place and you're done.
Wow.
And you do pay the government more than maybe a business owner would. And she has loans because she's a doctor. But the point is,
good for
overall,
her.
Yeah, she's a boss. Yeah. The point is that, like, she loves doing that. She doesn't want to have a private practice, and it makes sense. Like, why would you want to have your own private practice? Like, shit, you have the dream job right now. She has to also work in a prison, folks. So it ain't the dream population, but everything else in the psychology world, as well as just the things she's learned and all her the fact that they're going to pay her loans off at some point here, as well as her check, is what at the end of the day motivates her, And so for those people that are out there, not every part of any job is great.
Please, what's your wife's name, if you don't mind me asking?
Her name's Amber.
Please tell her thank you for what she does, because mental health is a very serious issue in this country, and it's only getting worse. So please tell her I said thank you.
Absolutely. I give her a shout out every day. Yes, and even though she's working with the prisoners, at least it gives there's some rehabilitation that does happen in that population. So
wow, that's amazing. So I had a few more questions. I'd like you to talk about your business, your services, what you offer, so that way somebody that's listening may be interested in getting services with you.
Sure, absolutely. So our primary focus, like we talked about kind of in the very intro, is the white label, where that means a digital marketer or an advertising agency. They resell our services, and we kind of become part of their team doing the work. And then we have a lot of customers that actually have come to us directly at realtimeoutsource.com. They've filled out the request forms, and they've said, hey, I would like you to help, take a look at my social and see what we're doing. And so what we do is actually manage the social media for customers. Facebook is still the number one most popular one, as well as obviously now Instagram, and basically manage all the elements from content creation, putting it out there, doing the boosting, and also a lot of the team is spending time moderating and commenting back as people are asking questions, messages, etc. They're there to comment back and bring, the client, basically the social media follower, closer into doing business, as well as also just feeling good, because that's a big part of it, is basically saying thank you and sharing smiley faces. It's a big part of just building a community. And so, yeah, it's a lot of work, folks. I not necessarily always want to say I had to start in this business. But you know what? That's the blessing, is, sometimes it's just, that's part of the grind. You start something and you really can't go back. You can't complain about it. You got to just say, okay, this is the type of business it is. It's a lot of work. It's an intense business. Janet, and also last year, one of our customers was sitting down with me and said, hey, Travis, I need you to help me actually manage my reputation and give me some, get me more positive reviews. I want to see these things kind of in real time as they're coming into me, so that we can have some sort of software doing this. And so it led me into basically he becoming my very first customer of my next business, which is Real-time Reputation.us. And that is just simply a reputation software where we can use your email lists. We can also, basically take already your current good positive reviews and showcase them on your website using like a widget that shows up throughout the website, as well as, like I said, collecting new positive reviews. I mean, we work with doctors. They send out, 150 patients come in for the week, and then they send out emails throughout the week saying, hey, how was your visit? And then it takes them to the next step of, hey, would you love giving us a positive review? We capture that, and then we ask them to share that on Google or share that on Health Grades or Facebook. And so it's very cool for us because it's automated. It is easy. It is easy that way. The hard part is that it doesn't just sell itself or scale, because there's a lot of different services out there like this. And so we're trying to figure out ways to differentiate ourselves. We do give a free trial there, so if you want to check it out, it's really cool, because we're basically just like, we can give you access to the software. We can get the widget on your website, and so that you can see how it works and see, like, get some positive reviews with it before you even pay for it. And that way, I feel like it's a win because, that way we kind of give you access to see like how this thing works before you just automatically start paying monthly. And obviously you probably heard of free trials and things like that, but we don't take the credit card. We just, you fill out the information on real-time reputation.us, and then we'll follow up with you and kind of get you access. And so, a lot of times the businesses already have great reviews at all these different places that they're just not showing them on their website. So when someone comes there, they're not getting to see all these positive reviews, and so I think that's really critical for most businesses is, when someone's going to make a $5,000 decision with their medical or whatever, and it's all cash, they're going to want to see some positive reviews. They're going to want to see that this person's legit.
Absolutely. Wow. That's amazing. So tell us about your podcast.
Oh yeah. The Be Real Show. So yes, I started the podcast, about 5 years ago, as an inspiration to try to meet, or I guess virtually meet, some people that I always admired in not only social media, but also just in business and marketing. It's evolved in that the show, obviously, as you get bigger, as you get further along the journey of podcasting, like, what happens is, more and more people want to maybe be on the show. So you have different kind of people outreaching and saying, hey, can we bring this guest on the show? And I've a lot of times said yes to most of the guests because these people have actually taught me a lot of stuff that I would never have learned. And so it's been very interesting, both getting guests now that the show has kind of pivoted and more focused on entrepreneurship, I would say, in general. And now mindset and motivation and daily habits and things like that kind of come out through the show. It's a fun show. I feel like we have a format to it all. So we're kind of getting their real insights and perspective, whether they're like Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, or whether they're like, Apple or Android, and kind of these more characteristic things that make everyone different. And then I think a lot of things come out of the show that I didn't expect. So it's been fun. It's a crazy journey how things go. But yeah, today I got to interview one of my guys that I never thought maybe I would even have a shot at. So it's fun.
Oh, that's incredible. Now, your podcast, do you monetize that, or is it just kind of a hobby you do on the side, or what?
It's a content generation. We have done some partnerships with guests specifically, Janet, that that's where we would make a little bit of money, and that we really promote that show heavier with some of our guest podcast promotions. So that's the only way we charge or make revenue. Is essentially if that guest comes on the show, they'll have like an intro, ads, everything about their business in that show. And so rather than getting just a bunch of random ads and stuff, you know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with that either. But for us, it's always been organic. We're trying to keep this just about the show. We're not trying to do too many ad spots because it isn't it's not something I need to have revenue come in. You know what I mean? And so
I got you.
I think when the time's right, maybe it will. I hope that with everything, as you get more show downloads and things like that you, like I said, but it's been very successful with the guest promotions. So that's been actually interesting revenue generator for us that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah. So more specifically, if they have a product, you're an affiliate for them. So you do affiliate marketing.
Well, that plus what it is actually, it's like a business show driver. What it does is, we obviously do all the show notes. We also put them brought to you by, and we make the whole show kind of about their business in the ad formats, if you want to call it that, like the intro. Also, then we'd also do more tweets, Facebook, Instagram posts, and then also a budget to actually boost those posts. So more of not only our followings, but the mutual followings that we have between us and the guests get promoted. And then, it's a win-win because of the advertising budget that's included. It just helps the whole thing. I mean, it's just the truth of social is that without advertising, you're going to be, somewhat stuck.
Now, when you say boost, are you boosting this on like Facebook or Instagram?
Yeah, on the different platforms. Yeah, like on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Those are the primary ones that we've used with the promotions. I'm trying to think of what other ones have we done. Stories.
Instagram I apologize. Stories go ahead.
Oh no, Instagram stories too. That's the only other one.
Oh, that's great. No, I'm just trying to understand. So basically, I understand that you're interviewing, just for somebody that's listening. Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to understand I understand the platform that you're saying, but basically you're boosting the post. But so if somebody clicks on the link, is it the ads that are
The ads go back to the show.
So like if somebody buys, like let's say, I'm just using an example, like okay, I click on your ad right on Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's like a commercial or something about a deodorant, so I buy the deodorant and you make a percentage off of that. Is that how that works?
Yeah, that would be affiliate marketing, and we don't do that. We're not doing affiliate marketing. A lot of the podcasters do affiliates. We're not doing that yet.
Can you
This is
explain a little bit more in detail? I'm just curious of how you're making money because it's very fascinating. So
Yeah.
especially because you're a social media expert, so I'm learning something new here in my audience listening. But can you just give like a very small example? Just
So yes, absolutely. So we don't charge guests to come on the podcast, but we give them the opportunity to do a promotion around it. And so we don't charge the guests to come on the show. Some podcasters do charge for people like, Entrepreneur on Fire. There's certain ones that just they charge if you want to be on his show. You have to pay him like $5,000. The
wow.
point is, yeah. So you can just flat out charge your guests to be on your show if you build up your numbers, right? Like that mean people want to be on the show. They want to promote their book. You have, a 10,000 download show or whatever it is. They're going to want to be, there's a value there, right? So
Absolutely.
you charge the guest, or like in our case, we're not charging them, but we basically offer them this guest promotion and a few, I would say a few handfuls, of guests over the year or so that we've been doing it. They'll say, hey, I want to do that promotion for this show. And so they'll pay the extra. I think it's $100 is what we charge for the entry one. So the guests themselves, like me, I'd be paying you, Janet, to promote this show heavier. So you'd have an ad budget now to promote the show.
Oh,
that makes
wow.
any sense.
That's
Yeah.
really interesting. Huh.
So it's like you giving me money to then now promote my own show, but we're really focused on you though, because you are the guest of that show, right? So it's a win-win for the show because we get an ad budget, basically an additional ad budget outside of our own. And then for the guests themselves, it actually really helps because it's a bigger promotion just about them than we normally do. You know what I mean? And so
Wow, that's really
it's a
interesting.
win-win. It doesn't necessarily, it works. I mean, it definitely works. We've had a few guests say, hey, this definitely is helping. And so I can see it working, and it's just it's a more organic way of charging your guests or making money on your podcast is then basically just saying, hey, I got this promotion. If you're interested, it's not, not necessary, but it's been working, and then you just tell them that and say, okay, all right, if you want to do it, no worries.
Wow. And then you said so for as an example, they would pay like you have different packages. Is like if you don't mind.
Yeah, there's just two. Like it's like 100 or 250, I think it is. Well, 100 or 250, yeah. Yeah.
Do you
The
help
250
people?
has like
Go ahead. I'm
like
sorry.
$100. Oh yeah, the 250 has like a bigger ad budget. It's a much more bigger ad budget.
That's really. Do you help people that are interested in that? Your company?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Wow. So those of you listening, wow, that's really interesting. I'm just really excited. I'm learning something new.
Of course, yeah, absolutely. Because if you sell your podcast on a cost per 1,000, sometimes we don't get hundreds of thousands of downloads. We're not Joe Rogan, and so Joe Rogan can do a cost per 1,000 deal, but that's because he has 1 million people listen to his downloads, And so anyone that's podcasting or planning on doing podcasting knows that like the numbers aren't going to just get there right overnight, And so it happens over time, and you don't have to have more than like a few hundred to 1,000 people listening to your show for it to be serious. Like it's serious. I mean, seriously, legit thing, And so, and it grows from there based on the guests, the content. As you get better, as you can keep putting episodes in, people take it serious that you have a catalog as you keep putting in more episodes. And most podcasters quit after about 7 episodes. And so anyone that's got more than 7, keep grinding. That's all I have to say.
Wow. So you that's called what is that product, or excuse me, that it's called product promotion for podcasts, or what do you call that? What's the
I call it a guest promotion.
guest promotion? Okay.
Yeah. So it's the guests promoting themselves bigger with our show is essentially what it is.
That's great. Thank you for that.
Of course. Yeah. I think more and more podcasters are going to move to that.
Guest promotion. Wow.
Yep. Just
Wow,
offering
wow.
it. Just offering it as a second opportunity. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, we also have this guest promotion and it helps out do this and this, and it gives us an ad budget to promote the show. And
Wow. That's great. Definitely have to look into that. Thank you for that. So I have two more powerful questions for you. Are you ready?
Let's do this.
Ready to get real?
Get real, girl. We've been getting real.
Absolutely. This has been really great. Really appreciate your amazing energy.
Thank you.
So, my next question for you is, what does happiness from within mean to you?
What does happiness from within mean to me? Every day you have. I have my daughter's saying this word, so this is crazy. My daughter's saying happy, and so every day we have a variety of motivational things in her room. One's dream big, one's believe in magic, another one's live happy, and that's what she's saying. She's saying happy. When I say live, she looks up the sign and says happy. And the last one is girl boss, because she's a girl and I want her to be a boss. The point is this, folks. Every day you have to basically tell yourself, live yourself, slap yourself in the mirror if you need to, and you have to release negative energy. You have to release stress, release fears, release worries, release negative self-talk, and you have to release that shit to get to happiness. Because happiness doesn't come when you have a Ferrari. Happiness doesn't come when you have a ripped body. Happiness doesn't come when you have $1 million in the bank. In fact, the more money you have, the more problems you have. You've heard it. More money, more problems. Biggie said it best. But the point is this. Happiness happens when you are happy. So you have to be happy. My wife always tells me this. You have to be your biggest cheerleader. I'm not your cheerleader. Sometimes I'll get on like a rant. And she's like, dude, I'm not your cheerleader. You have to be your cheerleader in those moments. And it's so true. Like, you have to be your cheerleader. You have to be happy. Folks, it sounds stupid. It sounds silly, but no one else can make you happy. And you know why? Because you can't make anyone else happy either. That's right. You can't make someone happy. They have to be happy on their own. Yes, you can be a great person. Yes, you can be a great friend. Yes, you can listen to them. But you can't make people happy. And so I always tell people, just do you. That's the most important thing you can do. The more you do for yourself every day, the more you do for yourself every single day, whatever that looks like, it's not selfish, the more you can do for others. So the more that you do for yourself, the crazy part is the more you can do for others. It's insane to think about, but it's very true.
Wow. I love that. Wow, that's amazing. Your daughter's talking already. Wow. She's a smart one.
She is. Yes, we read an insane amount of books. We read at least like 12, 15 books a day.
Wow,
and sing songs. I do everything with this little girl. She hears it all.
Congratulations.
And rant. I rant too. Don't worry, folks. I have my rant days too. My wife calls it my man rag days.
That's really beautiful. Congratulations for that beautiful relationship that you have with your daughter. Those are memories for life, you know?
Janet, absolutely.
So my last question for you is, how do you want to be remembered when you take your last breath?
Oh, shit. Let's pull out my thing. I have on my life goals here. I have one of my life goals is my milestones, my tombstone milestones. I'm going to look at it right here. Travis Touton Huff is going to be someone that lived till 200 years old. That sounds crazy, but you got to put out the milestones. He lived a life of exploration.
Wow.
He gave to others. He shared his knowledge with others. He shared his art with others. He never stopped learning, and he found joy in every day. That's my milestones right there. I wrote them, and I still keep looking at them because I'm like, damn, live to 200. That'd be crazy. But we have a shot, folks. We're in 2020. You know, my daughter has 700 million stem cells. We got them banked at the bank. So hopefully me and my wife will be able to use those things one day when things are old and breaking down.
Well, you got to talk about that. Wait, what? I mean, I've heard of stem cells, but you took stem cells from little one. You got to talk about that now. Really?
Yeah. So, folks, right now, if you are planning to have a child, you can actually bank your stem cells. The cord blood. You can bank the cord tissue, and you can also bank the placenta. And so we have those all banked. They've taken and extracted 703 million stem cells, and they have them banked and cryo-freezed. And they pay us, it's about $400 a year to then keep them frozen. But the point is, if we ever needed them, or if she ever needed them, or even my parents, if they ever needed them, there's actually a genetic match, 25% from my parents or my brother to her. And so As you probably know or heard, that people are making stem cells from other people's bodies. So you don't even have to have your own, genetic match, and it still kind of works. So the more you can have a genetic match in your stem cells when they use them, the more likely that these tissues and body organs and ears and eyes and things that they're creating using stem cells right now, the more likely that they will be receptive to your body, and meaning it will be compliant and take on, and so that like anything, when they do a donor or something like that, and they put a thing in a liver or whatever, it's not necessarily the right match, and so it doesn't work. And then but if it was a genetic match, it would work, right? So we'll see. You don't know for sure, but it's definitely an investment over the next at least 18 to 20 years. That in the next 20 years, if something went wrong, if a family member needed something, that we could use some of those stem cells to, provide for whatever we need to use them for, whether that's make a kidney, make a heart, whatever.
Wow.
Yeah, lifebank.us. It's there's a lot of them out there, but yeah, the cord blood's the main one, but we got the placenta too, because they say that there's a lot of powerful mojo, if you want to call it, and stuff they don't even know. They're still researching to figure out, but the placenta holds a lot, because you can just imagine it creates life. The placenta holds life and creates life. We don't even know the kind of shit that's in there, but it's magic, because my wife created a human that I get to hold every day, and it's magic.
Wow. Can I share one thing before we
Yeah,
go
sure.
about being real about the placenta?
Yes, be real. Let's go.
Okay, so long story short, a good friend of mine, when she had her baby, she had it with the not in the hospital, what do you call it? The midwife, she had it at home.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yep.
And her baby, she's really tiny, and the baby came out 9 pounds, beautiful boy,
Wow.
but she passed out and she actually almost died.
Oh my God.
But what had happened when she woke up, what the midwives did is they actually had to take part of that placenta and they put that and some other stuff in a smoothie, and she had to drink it.
Wow.
But
Yeah, I've
that's
heard
what
about
saved her
this.
life.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
But she
crazy.
survived. I mean, she literally almost died. They're like, if you don't
Oh my
drink this, you're gonna
God.
freaking die. Like, but it saved her
Wow.
life. Hmm.
There's something more powerful than we know, like I said, and obviously we're at the cusp of learning about this stuff, and so it's definitely an investment that could just go to zero, being that we don't use it or whatever. But it was definitely worth it, because for my daughter's life, she has a 100% shot. She has a 100% match. Me and my wife are a 50% match, and my siblings or my parents are 25%. So, and her parents too. So my
Wow.
wife's. So you never know, folks. Life is a crazy ride here, but I have a feeling that, with there's a lot of cool things happening in our future. It's such a blessing. So I like I said, without being humbled every day, you gotta first be just grateful for the day. We don't know if we're gonna live another hour, another 2 hours, another 10 hours, another 10 years, another 100 years. I hope to live to 200, but that might not happen.
Wow.
So just remember, stay present.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. Where can people find you? I'm definitely gonna put the links below, but if you can just give your sites, your
Oh
websites.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So if you want to get anything related to this show, we also do a free trial on our real-time outsource. So it's realtimeoutsource.com/be real. If you go there, folks, and you fill that out, I will actually give you we'll track you for 30 days and give you a report based on the social mentions that you have going on your uh, podcast, going on talking about your business. And it's an awesome report, because it also tells you the things that they're talking about. You find out who your influencers are. So it's just a way of giving back. Check that out, realtimeoutsource.com/be real. If you would like to follow me, please do. Travis Tutallin, that's Tutallin. Tutallin on Instagram. Tutallin on pretty much a lot of the platforms, Twitter, Facebook. Travis Huff on LinkedIn. And check out the Be Real show if you guys are interested. I got a lot of cool guests. We've capped over 200 episodes, and we are pushing every day, working hard. Lots of different interesting characters on the show, and shit, I've learned a whole lot.
Wow. Well, I am so blown away. I just really want to thank you from my heart to yours. Thank you so much for this amazing, amazing episode. I have no doubt that there's going to be a lot of people inspired by this. But thank you very, very much. And I have no doubt that one day in the future I will meet you somewhere.
There we go. Yeah, we put that out there. We put that positive energy out there.
Absolutely. Yeah. But thank you very much. And I just wish you an amazing night with your family. And
Oh, you're awesome.
yes, thank you so much. And I will
Absolutely.
talk to you soon. Thank you so much, Travis. Have a great day.
Got it, folks. Have a blessed day.
You
Let's do
too.
this.